Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spirit. I'm here with my boy Cal. Cal, say what's up.
Hey, ready to rock.
Hey, with the Captain America woman, the Captain America movie coming up soon, we decided we want to talk a little bit about what Captain America and Sam Wilson as Captain America. So here I'm going to start off with some stuff with Cal, and Cal, who is our resident expert on a lot of things about Captain America. We're just going to talk about some of the top things about Captain America that we know right now. So probably the number one key fact is that he was the first um, one of the first African American characters in Marvel. Is that correct, Cal?
Okay, we got to differentiate because when you're saying Captain America, I'm already thinking Steve Rogers. So we're talking about Sam Wilson, right?
We're talking about Sam Wilson, yes. And you know what? Let's really the Captain America Falcon or Falcon Captain America. This way we know
No,
for
let's just say Sam Wilson. Sam
Sam
Wilson's
Wilson.
fine.
Okay. Sam Wilson's
Okay.
good.
Well, let's see. Earliest thing. Well, the earliest thing we Sam Wilson is Captain America's second partner after Bucky. Actually, let me correct that. He's actually his third partner after Rick Jones comes in and takes over the role of Bucky, and then we get Sam Wilson. Now, originally, when we meet Sam Wilson, he's a costume adventurer. He he doesn't have wings. He's acrobat, so he's able to move from place to place, very much in the vein of like a Daredevil type character. And he's he's a competent partner for somebody like for Captain America. Oh, he also has a pet Falcon Red Wing, and he has some sort of what's the right word? Like telepathic bond with Red Wing. And I mean, he genuinely becomes Captain America's partner to the point at one point the book is retitled Captain America and the Falcon.
Okay, I'm gonna
He's
clear. So I like that. But he originally first appeared as one of Captain America's um, back in what 1969. He first appeared in Captain America 117.
That's correct.
Okay. And I
So
was
he
it, and well, who created him? Was it Stan Lee? Because I've heard some people said yes, some people said no, but the original comic was definitely Stan Lee and someone named Colan, right?
Gene Colan.
Colan. Okay, great. So he's definitely one of the heroes created in the stable of Captain by Stan Lee. This is why no, there's no question that he created him. You know, like how we have some other characters that people have said have been created by someone else.
No, this is Stanley and Gene Colan. So unless Gene Colan is going like, no, Stanley didn't give me credit. No, this is Stanley and Gene Colan.
Okay. So I mean, he came out originally. I think was the a green suit, right? That's when he was an
Came
arrow.
out green suit, different colored, different colored suit at the end of the day, and it'll change to red. It would change into red and white sometime later.
So why did he? I mean, so originally he did have the connection to Red Wing or no?
No, he's always had that connection to Red Wing. From the first time that we see him, he's had this telepathic bond with Red Wing that would expand to him having a telepathic bond with like birds, as they like to, aggrandize guys' powers over time, or enlarging their powers over time. But from the onset, he's always had the telepathic bond with Red Wing. If it was Captain America and the Falcon, then it was always the Falcon and Red Wing. Red Wing was a constant companion to the Falcon.
So I'm glad. I'm just going to go into CBR because they have a pretty interesting article about some of the different
Oh,
costumes.
before I forget, Captain America. Sam Wilson is actually the first black superhero. He's actually the first black superhero for Marvel Comics.
Okay,
Whereas, I have to differentiate because T'Challa is African.
right.
And so T'Challa, many people say he was the first black superhero. There is a difference, people.
There
Sorry
is
to
a
tell you,
difference. Yes,
there is a difference. So T'Challa is the first African superhero for Marvel Comics, and Sam Wilson would be the first black superhero for Marvel Comics. Disagree if you like. Feel free to say what you like in the comics, but that is the fact.
so here we have from CBR the first original costume with Red Wing. You have him. He has a Red Wing necklace, but it's all in green basically. One time he actually looked like Captain America, but then he goes into the red uniform, and it says Black Panther created Falcon's first red and white wingsuit with Wakandan technology. So that's
That
something that I
that
don't
is
think a lot of
correct.
people understood because remember in the movies he doesn't meet the Wakandans till after the fact. He's a aerial parachutist, I believe is what they called him.
Yep, subsidized by the government. like all superheroes in the movies.
So, and I'm taking this from the Marvel Studios Character Encyclopedia that I'm getting. And basically, they're saying that, just to give you what they say about him, his affiliation is with the United States Air Force, Avengers, Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes, Joaquin Torres, Sarah Wilson. He's Air Force training as a Falcon, Light Shield via wings, Red Wing drone, as Captain America in the Vivarium Steel. Um, and of course, what's the first one? CA, that's Captain America. That was the first time he's shown he has the exosuit. So now we see the exosuit doing a lot more things, and that's because of the Wakandan technology that now in the movies he has. But from the inception, he's had Wakandan technology into it, right?
I mean, from the first time he has the wings in the comics.
Comic books from the comics.
Well, yeah, because he would have never had them if T'Challa didn't give them to him. So that's that's without a doubt.
Okay.
That's 100% Wakandan technology given to him by the Falcon. I'm sorry, by the Black Panther.
Because I mean, I'd heard people like, "Yo, where did he get this super suit like Tony Stark?" And you're like, "Wait a second, he got this from the Wakandans." But people don't, they don't in the movie. You're not going to see that. You don't see that until after the fact. I mean, I do think that they do explain it after the fact there, but initially his ability to fly in the wingsuit was because of the Wakandans. So I'm glad that's been cleared up too. Um, Red Wing. Let's get back to that. You said he had a telepathic from the very beginning. Him and Red Wing were a package deal, right?
Yep.
Red Wing is his pet hawk. Is his pet hawk? Hell,
Yeah.
pet falcon. That's what I meant. And um, and he has the telepathic ability to connect with different birds. I think I remember reading a comic where he had all these birds attacking, but I know you and I argued one time about it because I totally forgot about it. And you pointed out like, yo, dude, the current movies have messed him up because they've downgraded probably one of his best assets being Red Wing and the ability to communicate with birds. What's your take on that?
My position is usually that they find things like that to be stupid. Like, oh, he's got a pet bird. Oh, we don't want to deal with that type of stuff. Especially they don't want to have to deal with an animal. They don't. What do they not like to deal with in terms of Hollywood? Kids and animals. So get rid of the kid, get rid of the animals, just make something robotic at the end of the day. And cool. And mind you, they made a robot Red Wing for him, and we've only seen it like what, maybe twice altogether. So that was a dynamic, that was a pretty good dynamic part of the Falcon. There was in his first limited series, he's captured by a Sentinel, and the Sentinel is like literally going to crush him to death. But because he has a telepathic bond with Red Wing, he tells Red Wing, look, cut all of these wires inside of the Sentinel, and Red Wing is able to execute this, saving his life. So it made for like really, it was a very suspenseful, very dramatic portion of that particular story, and other things that have happened over time with Red Wing. But they didn't want to go that route. One, I guess it's difficult for them to work with animals, but two, I think their approach is always like, oh, this is stupid. We can always just do something else. And Hollywood just loves robots, armor, so that's the way they go with it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I agree with you there. Marvel sometimes shy away from something, but one thing that they thought they could have always have done with Red Wing, make him like the Jarvis, for Falcon, right? Where he's able to do a lot more things. If they're going to do a computer, if they're going to do a robot, let it make a really smart robot, infused with intelligence. Like now they have him in I think the trailer they show that he has two of them now, I believe it is. So I thought that was pretty interesting in and of itself.
He has two. Yes, now he has two Falcons.
I think in the trailer he had two of them that came out. Probably if I'm mistaken, please point that out, gents. All right, well, let's get back to the whole thing with Captain America. So, I mean, they first worked together from the first comic that they had, right? And they've had a pretty strong bond. So one of the reasons we see in the movie, in the TV shows, in the movies, that he gave the Captain America to him is because he felt like he was the most worthy compared to others. Of course, you can't give it to Winter Soldier because
There's still some stuff we want to. There's still some stuff we want to go with in terms of the Falcon. In terms of the comic, before we jump to that,
okay,
because in terms of his origin, well, the Falcon was like a sleeper agent of the Red Skull, and Captain America didn't know this at the time. When he meets the Falcon, the Falcon comes across as this heroic guy. They're leading this rebellion on this remote island where the Red Skull is, and Cap looks at him and he's like, yeah, I can, this guy's cool. He encourages him to fight. He takes on a costume identity in terms of the Falcon. But what he doesn't know is that Sam Wilson used to be called Snap Wilson, and he was a drug dealer.
Okay.
He was raised. He had two parents, cool, but then things took a left turn for him. I believe his parents were killed, and then after that, he just descends into this life of crime, and he ends up on the island. And this Red Skull pretty much uh, changes his memory and reestablishes the good portion of him. But he puts that in as a sleeper agent that once he has gained Captain America's trust, he's then going to be able to betray him. So when you were reading the comics, nobody knew that this was the case with the Falcon.
Oh
You know,
wow.
he nobody knew this was. So when it happened, it came out of left field that the Falcon was this traitor. Big time Judas move at the end of the day. But as we know, that was worked out, and the Falcon and Captain America were not able just to defeat the Red Skull, but they were able to keep their partnership. So that's also a big part of his origin, which a lot of people don't know. They really don't know,
It's
especially if you've watched the
definitely not,
movies.
it's definitely not in the character encyclopedia, the Marvel Studios encyclopedia. It's probably more in the other book, the actual Marvel encyclopedia about it. But I remember reading the Marvel encyclopedia. I don't remember he came up that. Let me double check that while we talk about this. And according to the Marvel Encyclopedia, after his father was killed trying to stop a street fight, and his mother died during a mugging, Sam Wilson became a community volunteer. On a flight to Rio de Janeiro, his plane crashed in the Caribbean, and he encountered the Red Skull. To realize one of his diabolical schemes, the Skull used a cosmic cube to endow Sam with limited superpowers, molding him into Captain America's ideal sidekick.
Yep.
So that's interesting. The cosmic cube. That's how he got the telepathic ability to communicate with Red Wing.
Yeah, which they retconned. They retconned that too. That the Sam Wilson was like a low level mutant,
Yeah.
and that's how he was able to do such. They also retconned that Sam Wilson ever had that past as Snap Wilson, and these were just images that the Red Skull had put into his mind. So they decided, oh, we can't, we can't go that route. I guess that's going to be too stereotypical, too
Right.
racist. We can't do that. And I was like, okay,
You know,
nobody nobody had a problem with it for years. No, no. To be honest, there was never any petition or anything of that nature because it was to be honest, that was just very good character development for a brand new character.
yeah.
That people did not see it coming, and it never slowed down the character of the Falcon. It didn't create any tension between him and Steve Rogers. It was never brought up again by Steve Rogers to throw in his face or anything of that nature. And when it was brought up here and there in the future, it was never anything to drag the character down or to make something. It was this albatross that he had to wear for the rest of his life. But again, hey, just erase it, make it like it never happened.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because um, that's it's interesting how they changed stories, characters' histories, or retcon it in the past. I mean, like the whole thing with the mutant thing. I heard it before, but I thought that was dropped. I don't think that is he still considered a mutant? Are you? Can you be a mutant if you're getting your powers from the cosmic cube? I mean, is
No, I mean, if you're a latent mutant, then the cosmic cube would bring out that latent power. You would
Mhm.
still be, but I think they did something like this with the Black Cat, where she's a latent mutant, and through whatever sort of device or whatever sort of formula they may give her, they're able to bring that particular power out. So latent mutancy is like, okay, well, why doesn't this person have more powers than just this? Oh, because it's a late mutant, so we can only bring it out so much. They're not like a full-fledged mutant at the end of the day, if that makes any sense.
I don't know because
That's
you know
hey, I mean that's what they did that with the Falcon, they did that with Black Cat, and they did that with Kamala Khan. That she was a mutant. I mean, literally, that she's this
yeah,
late
yeah.
mutant that out of nowhere, they put the armband on her and like, oh look, the powers came out.
No, you're right about that. You're right about that. Um, So yeah, I mean that's pretty interesting in terms of the story of Falcon, him and himself, and how he became, how he became Falcon, how he's being handled differently in both MCU and in the Marvel comic book universe. So, what else do you consider? I mean, so do we move on to the fact that he's now Captain America, or do you want to go
Well,
before we move on?
let's see. The first appearance of the Falcon as Captain America is in Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty #8. And this was a second series that was done. I think this was done either the late '90s or the early aughts, where Captain America was popular enough that they could actually attempt a second series with him. I think Mark Waid was writing it, and there's a story where I forget what happens. So Cap disappears, and people are kind of down, and it's like all this hate going on. Might have even been like some sort of well, I think there was some hate group, and Falcon ends up, taking up Captain America's outfit to say no, you know, Cap is still around even if I got to do that. But it's in two issues, beginning with Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty #8. But that is his first actual appearance as Captain America. And then, of course, later on, he officially, becomes Captain America. But Sentinel of Liberty is the first time we see him in the Captain America outfit.
I thought it was the first when he all new Captain America
Mm-hmm.
when
No,
he
that's when he be.
officially became
That's
Captain.
when he becomes Captain America. Sam Wilson is Captain America. In
Right.
this was in what I'm referring to is a two-part story where something happens and Cap just disappears,
Okay.
and Falcon comes in and he wears the suit pretty much to say no. The ideals of what Captain America stands for, I'm going to still fight for them. But Steve Rogers returns in like the second issue.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I do remember reading the Captain America Sam Wilson. I think that was when no, Captain America. Sorry about Captain America. The all new Captain America was limited run series, and he officially became Captain America after Steve Rogers. He started getting old because of the super serum. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, when they started doing the series Old Man Cap.
Yeah. So I mean, that was pretty interesting in and of itself there, and so that's when and that's basically in the 2014, 2015 period. So
Yeah,
that's
well, that's Captain. What's that? Captain America 20. All new Captain America 25.
yeah. So pretty interesting.
Yeah. So, and again, before this, Bucky had become Captain America.
Mhm.
So this would be the second. This was the second replacement for Cap in under 5 years. Might even be less than that. But Bucky became Cap when Cap disappeared in time. Cap came back. Then like, oh no, 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 we got to get rid of him. Why? Because everybody was asking, well, why couldn't Sam be Captain America? He's been his partner longer. Why are you guys going with Bucky? All right, so let's make Sam Captain America. And I believe Sam Wilson was Captain America I believe he was Captain America for a longer period of time. Not that it really matters, but Sam Wilson gets made Captain America. And I was actually interested in seeing what they would do because again, I'm a fan of the Falcon. Always liked the character. He has been Captain America's partner the longest, probably the most influenced by Captain America, or received the most training from Captain America. So I would like to see, what would he do and bring to the role. Well, unfortunately, I thought the approach was uneven because of one, Steve Rogers is coming back, and the guy who replaces Steve Rogers always have to see if they can live up to what Steve Rogers has done. But in the same breath, because Steve Rogers is coming back, they can't really outshine Steve Rogers.
Right.
We can't really do anything where, oh, look what he did. He's better than Steve Rogers ever was because everybody's waiting for Steve Rogers to come back. So
Exactly. It's a
that,
placeholder.
yeah, so that's one thing. The other in terms of him taking over was that unfortunately the elephant in the room was always that Sam Wilson is black, which was never an issue for Bucky. Nobody had an issue with, oh, well, Bucky's white, but it became an issue that, well, Sam Wilson's black and we got to address these particular things. And he's, they always wanted to have, for some reason, there's somehow some illegitimacy with Sam Wilson there because he's black. And this was something that they decided to address even though nobody cared. So, the question of whether if you're black, how much of an American are you because of how black people have been treated in this country? So, how can you, represent the flag, knowing the history and such? And, I was like, this is one of the things that's always annoyed me when they decide to do these things in a fictional world. This doesn't have to be a world that mirrors ours exactly. This could be a world that got it right when it came to certain things that we didn't do. And so you could just tell this particular story. But you can, Bucky can outrun his past of being an assassin as the Winter Soldier. He could do enough deeds as Captain America where guys are like, you know what, you've done such a good job as Captain America. We understand what has happened to you in the past, and we're going to let bygones be bygones. But you can't outrun your race. that's something that's always going to be there. So I disagree with making that an issue, period, because for some people, it doesn't matter what you do. That's always going to be that particular issue. Now, you can make the same argument with Bucky, but overwhelmingly, no. You saved the world a couple of times. Most people are going to begrudgingly you be there. But with the other one, not so much, because they keep telling us that it's never going to go away. So that was something I didn't like in terms of how they addressed. I didn't like that being foisted on the character. I didn't think that was, particularly fair, and I didn't find it any. It didn't There was no entertainment value in it whatsoever either. But
Is
it's
that in
just
the
it's what they
show
decided to do.
or in the comic books?
Hmm?
In the TV show or the comic books?
Oh no, I'm speaking strictly about the comic books. The TV show did the same thing,
Yes.
and that annoyed me as well. Whereas, I mean, when we get to Endgame and Steve Rogers, I mean, this is not about whether or not the Falcon is black or not. This is about the judgment of Steve Rogers, who's been Captain America. Nobody has an issue with Steve Rogers. Nobody thinks Steve Rogers is crazy or racist or sexist. Okay, they don't think he's like a undercover Nazi, even though they did that. But they don't think these things about him. We trust Steve Rogers. So if Steve Rogers is making the judgment call that Sam Wilson is the right guy to be Captain America, we should all just accept that. But then when we got to the series, Bucky's saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. We should have thought about me and Steve. We should have thought about you being black." And I'm like, "What the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Like we second guessed ourselves? Like, no. If we trust Steve Rogers' judgment, which we do, then he picked the right guy for the job, regardless of whether he's black or not. But the uh, they feel like this is some onus that they have to address, and if they don't address it, that they're you know sweeping things under the rug. And I'm like, no, you don't have to go this particular route with these characters, because what you're saying is that the character's race is always an issue. And if it's always an issue, then you're saying that there's nothing we can ever do about this. It doesn't matter, how far that you try to progress from this. This is always going to be an issue, and you're not setting any examples as to why this is not an issue.
Exactly, and I think this also comes over into the real world where it's like people believe, oh, you can't be a black conservative, right? You can, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a black conservative, you're basically against the black community, which is the dumbest thing in the world. You
Mm-hmm.
have you have people from all over the spectrum, from the Marxists to the conservatives, and so you can be anything within there because you're a person, and a person has different ideas, and your ideals will work with whatever you're trying to do. And in this example, we do know I'm not Captain America. Captain America Sam Wilson was also a social advocate. We see him in the show. We also see in some of the comics that he was in. Um, but
Oh yeah, and
one
he
thing
was
I'm sorry,
no, he was in the comics. He was a social worker.
right. And so one of the things I hate is that it's like you look at the military, you have African Americans in the military, and they make up a significant amount of people in the military. And they've
Yeah.
been in the American military. They fought in wars from the Civil War, from the American Revolution onward, and yet you still get questioned. I think by now that type of questioning should have stopped by now, right? But like you said, people see the color of your race, unfortunately. I'm not saying everybody. Most people don't, but there's always a significant group of people like, hey, he shouldn't be
Well,
Captain America. It has to be Steve Rogers. And you're like, what? I mean, like
well,
questioning the patriotism. What the hell does that have?
I know that some people will have an issue with someone else's race, but that doesn't mean you always have to make it an issue when you're doing something. Okay, when you're telling a story, okay, or when you're deciding, you know, well, I'll leave it just to fiction. When you're telling your particular story, you don't necessarily have to go, well, we have to address this. This is a fictional world. And if you think that this particular thing is wrong, in the real world, then you should address it in your world so this is no longer an issue rather than, oh, we got to see how this particular thing plays out because this is what's going on over here. No, why don't you show the fix for it in the fictional world as opposed to just, well, we're going to just keep this particular thing running. So that means in the real world, we can't get it right. And in the fictional world, we can't get it right either. So we're just screwed. There's nothing we can do.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. They're going to be the first black in the Marvel canon. Well, I guess also in the MCU is Isaiah Bradley, right? Who was
Mhm.
fighting the Korean War, and they gave him the super serum. Him and a whole bunch of other people the super
Yeah,
serum.
that story was terrible.
But that's what they got.
But that's what they see.
I wasn't crazy about the art, but that's what they're saying, and we have that in both the MCU and in the comic book, right?
Mhm.
Um,
But see, that is part of what I'm getting at. When we go to Isaiah Bradley, the whole. I mean, we could have come up with any number of reasons why Isaiah Bradley was the first Captain America, happens to be black, and what happens to him or anything of that nature. We don't get that. Instead, we get this. We get the Tuskegee experiment on Isaiah Bradley, and it happens to be the super soldier serum. And I'm like, that drove me nuts. I was just like, I don't get this at all. I was, and they people were like, oh yeah, this story. I'm like, I don't understand. What happened in the Tuskegee experiment was terrible. It
Right.
was terrible. Why do you want to then extrapolate off that into a fictionalized world? Like, no, you had an opportunity to do something positive. Say, you know what? Here's the Tuskegee experiment. This was a terrible, evil thing that was done to innocent people. Why don't we do something to show, no, this is something else that we could do? And if you want to show that there was something unfortunate that happened to Bradley, no problem. But you still have to make it that the first superhero, the first Captain America was black, okay, but racism reared its head once again. And then so like, okay, great. That means every black character is going to have to contend with this, even in a fictional world.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a bit much because this wasn't always the case. They really were trying to do stories where you could do some middle of the road, uh, uniform stories, and racial things were, they may come up here and there, but that was not going to be the overwhelming thing for this character, their blackness. And that's something that they decided, no, we have to address this because if not, we're being remiss. And I'm like, no, you don't. You do not. This is not something that you have to address. Okay, because this character, I mean, it's the same thing with female characters. This character will always be female. This character will always be black or Indian or Chinese. We're going to constantly have to address this. And mind you, this is not something we're going to have to address with white characters, just with minority characters, okay, or women. And then it becomes like, all right, this character is always going to be bogged down, by what they are, as opposed to being a character that we want to, tune into because of who they are. But that's where they're at.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So getting back to Captain America, Sam Wilson, the Falcon. What is your take on the new uniform that he has as the red, white, and blue with the shield and the Falcon, um, wings? What's your take on this?
Looks dumb.
I think it actually looks pretty cool. I
I
think he
don't
had
like the
a black
mask.
outfit. I think I had a black outfit before. It was a black and red, I think it was. But I think that was when he was as a Falcon, which I thought was really cool. But I
The,
think this one looks pretty good as the way it's set up right now. Um,
if you're gonna be Captain America, be Captain America. I
you
think Petey made this comment too. Well, Petey hates it. He always calls him Falcon America. But if you're going to be Captain America, be Captain America. So the whole idea of, well, I'm going to keep, the neck up. I'm just going to be the same dude. If you're going to be Captain America, be Captain America. Be in the Captain America suit. I like, now that being said, I like the wings, but the whole idea of them being there all of the time, you're straddling the line. It's like, well, I'm going to be my own man as Captain America, but you look like the Falcon in just a red, white, and, blue outfit. And you already had the white and red. You just threw some blue in there. So, eh,
but see, but this is where
make up your mind. Make
this
up
is
your
where I
mind.
have to disagree with you. I think that the reality is Captain America is going to come back, and it's going to be Steve Rogers, right?
Mhm.
And so the Falcon needs to be his own person. I think
In the comics, are
in the
we talking
comic,
comics or movie right now?
we're talking about the movies right now, and when you look in the movies right now, I think there's a confusion, particularly with the audience, not the comic book audience who've seen it, but I think that it's like you can't have one character being played by two people that look distinctively different. So here you have to they're trying, but they want to differentiate him as Captain America Falcon or Captain America Sam Wilson, and that's why he's still using the Falcon outfit. And then they have the guy Torres who will be using, I guess, the original green that he had as the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes him say now he's the Falcon, but he's the green dude. But this guy's got. I think to me the IP just gets so muddy doing it, and I do see the history going when he was Captain America, but uh, when he became Captain America, he was still acting like the Falcon, right? Didn't I remember reading he still had the Falcon uniform on, the wings. Excuse me, let's put it like that. He still had Red Wing with him, but now it's difficult to market, I think, to a degree. But I mean, I'm hoping the audience, particularly with the movie coming up, can see him as who he is and come out to see him, and hopefully give him a big boost for this show. I'm just right now, I'm just not feeling a lot of people talking about it as much as I would hope. Marvel's talking about the Thunderbolts. Marvel's talking about the new Andor series. People are talking about the new There's another movie coming out this year. I forgot what it was.
Because one, I mean, Steve Rogers is Captain America.
Yeah, it is, and let's play. Let's go. No matter how much you change or sugarcoat it, so that's why he has to keep the wings. So people always say, "All right, he is Captain America," but this is Falcon taking on the role. The role is Captain America, but Falcon is still Falcon to a degree. You
Yeah,
know.
and I mean, if you say okay, you're not go. I would have just put him in Captain America's uniform, period. And then if you're going to have to do something with the flying and such, you work something out. But you got to be in the you have to be in the suit if you want to be Captain America. You have to look like Captain America. With the wings, you're still the Falcon. But the whole idea.
He doesn't have the super soldier serum, so he has to use
Yeah, I was about to get to that too, but I said, but without the wings, he's really, he's really at a disadvantage because Cap, has the super soldier serum, which allows him to do a whole bunch of stuff that the Falcon would really need his wings to have that particular advantage, as a hero. So there's no super soldier serum. So okay, you just you're a regular guy with training, with intensive exercise, but Cap is a dynamo who can who can like run as fast, if not faster than an automobile at times. So like, okay, I'm still gonna need the wings, even with the shield. So, but it just leads. I hate to say this, but it just smacks of illegitimacy when you look at the character. It's
Well, I'm not going to
really
go
tough.
that far. I'm not going to go that far. But
Yeah,
I
I know.
think
I
that
know.
I think
I'm saying that for anybody else who's thinking it. I said it, so don't worry. I said it for you.
but what I do think is that the only way that would work then is if they really pushed up his I guess animal telepathy, I guess is what it is, his ability to communicate with birds and stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I think Vixen can also communicate with power with animals and
Well, yeah, but they already decided Red Wing was not going to be a part of the films. One, and then two. Even if he was, then okay, he's like not Captain America. He's what is it? He's Captain American Eagle because he's going to have all these birds at the end of the day. What is Captain America? Captain America is one guy and a shield. Okay, we don't really think about the super soldier serum. We know it's there, but this is just a guy armed in a shield, and he's capable of pulling off some really cool stuff just with that. Okay, that's all he needs. He doesn't carry a gun. He doesn't have Iron Man's armor. He doesn't have lasers or any of these other doodads and gadgets. The best we'll see with Captain America when it comes to anything else, any other peripherals, is a motorcycle. But but that's it. Cap's like a one-man army at the end of the day. OMAC, if to borrow the DC phrase, or one-man army corps, and he's able to get it done. But once you bring in somebody else and they're like, well, I need this and I need that and I need this and I need that, it becomes an issue. And well, I won't say the word again, but when you start making the comparison, it's like, Steve Rogers didn't need to do all this.
I mean, well, he got power from the cosmic cube, right? So if Steve Rogers is getting his from
In the comic.
in the comic, but again, I'm just saying that's something they could have used to beef him up. If they really wanted to make him super Captain America without the wings, then they should have really been emphasizing his animal telepathy and the cosmic cube, whether or not he could have had additional powers based off of that. But if they're not doing that, like you're saying, and they're using he's still the Falcon, and the only way he can, have the powers to have the Wakandan suit on him to battle people. I mean, like here in the movie, he's battling the frigging Red Hulk, so he's going to need everything he can get in the world to take on somebody like that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep. No argument there.
So overall, what are your thoughts of Sam Wilson, um, Captain America?
What are my thoughts? What are my thoughts of Sam Wilson as a character, or Sam Wilson being Captain America?
Sam Wilson being Captain America.
Ugh.
All right, Sam. Actually, I don't want to hear that because
Sam Wilson, Falcon. Always loved Sam Wilson as Falcon. Sam Wilson as Captain America is, and mind you, I would say the same thing when Bucky was Captain America. It's a near impossible feat. It just is because you've got the legacy of Steve Rogers that you're always contending with, and Steve Rogers is Captain America like Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's just really hard. It's really hard at the end of the day. As you know, put it like this: as cool as Miles Morales is ever going to be, and as great as his fandom is, he's not Peter Parker. Peter
Yeah.
Parker is going to be, is going to be Spider Man. Most people don't even refer to Miles Morales as Spider Man; they refer to him as who?
Miles.
Miles Morales.
No, and you're 100% right about that.
So now you have, Sam Wilson coming here, and I think some again the missteps are focusing on his race, which you should never have done. Him not coming out and being Captain America fully, saying, no, I'm going to put the wings down. I'm going to be Captain America. And yeah, if you got to give him super soldier serum, then give him super soldier serum. Just address that and let him go out there and let him tell some real bang up stories. Or don't give him any super soldier serum and let him go out there and have to really rough and tumble it with just a shield, but let him do it. But when you straddle the line, it's pretty clear that this guy's not going to be around. He's not going to be around, for very long. When I say not very long, you could have a 3 year long story run, and that's not a long period of time in comics. That's literally that's a shot.
I mean, it could be that when they do Secret Wars, we get the original Steve Rogers back, right?
Say that again.
I said when we do the original Secret Wars, we do get back uh, Steve Rogers again.
In maybe a different form, but I mean, the trouble with the films, these guys get older. They can't play these roles forever. You got to get some new cats in there, and you do want to be able to do legacy characters. You want to be able to say, okay, this guy had his run, and now we're going to do this. Now we got a new actor. Like, okay, well, Christopher Reeve was the first Superman actor. Now we got Brandon Routh, and then we're going to have David Cornsweet. No, you want to say, oh no, this is a legacy character where, okay, Steve Rogers can then pass this on to Sam Wilson, and Sam Wilson can then pass this on to Alonzo Torres, whatever it may be. You want to be able to do that because that also helps the longevity of these characters. So it doesn't always have to be, well, this character's married to this name. But man, when you look at it, there's a handful of characters you just can't do it with. And when they do things like this, they just cement it even more as to why you can't do it. I mean, Iron Man is somebody that you could put another guy in that suit, and I think everybody would be cool with it for the most part. I don't think anybody, well, only Tony Stark. Like, no, I think you could get away with that simply because it's a guy in armor. Anybody could get into the suit and make Iron Man their own. At the end of the day, you would never be Tony Stark. You'd be a different sort of Iron Man. But the same reason where you could get Jim Rhodes in the War Machine armor, you can do that. You can get away with that, and I think the comics have shown that you can. That's not a big deal. That could definitely be a legacy character. But Cap, Spidey, oh, good. It's really tough, and you got to tell some good stories. But you also have to commit to this character being Captain America, and it's just already being shown that's not the case. They're not doing it.
I mean, yeah, probably they're halving it. But look, I'm supporting Sam Wilson as Captain America. I think he looks
Oh yeah,
in his suit, and I hope the story is just as good. I mean, him taking on the Red Hulk, I have to see how that works out, but it definitely should bring a lot of Hulk lovers to the theater. And if they have a good story, this is really going to work out. So, but if it doesn't, if you can't get the action right, if you can't get the story right, it's going to be a tough sell. But what he did in that first episode of with him and Winter Soldier, when he was going after those villains in the helicopter, and when they were and before they're in the helicopter, when they were flying in their parachutes, and that's a fantastic scene, one of my favorite MCU scenes. Him battling them off, and he has Red Wing. It was a fantastic scene, that opening scene for the show, the series. So
yeah. That was great. We want more of that, right?
more of that. You bring more of that, you got us all hooked, man.
Did we get more of that? No, we had to get the whole thing. Sorry, Sam. Sorry, you're black.
All right, so I think we'll see how they course correct on this and get the
They're not
excitement.
gonna course. They're not gonna course correct.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. So hey,
Not
I
never
th-
gonna happen. Never, 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 never.
is there anything you want to add before we move on?
Oh no, no, nothing that'll be different. It'll just be me repeating myself, and I don't want to bore anyone any further.
Okay. Well, fantastic then. All right, cool. So hey, I think hope this explains a lot of stuff about the history of Sam Wilson, as Falcon and as Captain America. And I hope everybody goes out and support the movie when it comes out. Spin a rack.
Hey, we're out.
We're out.